Hello, welcome back to Urban X-Files. My name is Key, and today we are going to listen about a spooky story that someone sent in over a haunted house. We moved into our house on Halloween in the year 2004. It's located down east in Maine, about a mile and a half away from the seashore, and it was built around the 1880s. And at one time it was a pretty famous house for chicken canning, and one of the sons of the former owners was killed in action in World War II. So we still have the love letters that he wrote to his bride of 3 months before he was killed right before the end of the war in 1945. The older gentleman who lived in the house prior to the people we bought it from had actually died inside the house, and it was a few days before anyone had found him. But it appears that a young girl is haunting the place, and we don't know who she is or why, and she's been seen by myself and my father. The property also seems to be haunted because as you walk by the windows, we often see someone out in the fields and around the house, walking towards the old goat pens, only to disappear right in front of our very eyes. The person in the field wears a white shirt with black suspenders. Here are some of the weird things I have encountered. We were doing some renovations, having the roof replaced and having a dormer put in the upstairs bathroom. One day when the workers were not there, my father and I were the only people in the house. I was upstairs in my bedroom and my dad was downstairs in the library, directly below my bedroom. Now, there is a staircase that runs down the wall outside my door. He was sitting in his chair opposite the door and saw a girl glide down the stairs. She turned away from him and she went into the dining room. He thought it was me, so he called out to me, but I was upstairs and hadn't moved. About 20 minutes later, the same thing happened again. We got up and we searched, but there was no one around, except for myself and my father. The night that I saw her, I was laying in bed looking out of the window when I felt someone was standing over me. I looked into the side without moving and saw her face hover over my bed. It was oval shaped and it was hard in contrast. All whites and blacks. All I could see was her face. She was looking down at me but was expressionless. And then she wasn't there anymore. She simply disappeared as fast as she appeared. Now this, I was not afraid. And I am surprised to say this. It just felt like she was there, just looking in on me. Then, Christmas Eve one year, I walked into the dining room to find 2 dead earthworms on the dining room floor. I have no idea where they came from. Needless to say, in December in Maine, the ground outside is frozen solid. There was no dirt from them either. They were just laid out like a gift. So we have a full basement as well, and there is no way they came up out of the ground and through the floorboards. I called my folks in to see, and it was a curious moment. But we threw them away and then went on with the day as this was put to the back of our minds. Now, an hour later, I came back through and there were the 2 more worms laid out in the exact same spot. We checked and the other 2 were still in the bin. Nothing more after that, but still, it was weird. While we were working away, my older sister, who lives next door, watches the house for us. There is a small figurine of Uncle Sam that came from a red rose tea box that sits on the kitchen windowsill. Several times my sister has come over after no one has been in for weeks to find that the figurine had somehow moved. And it had been moved to the kitchen table, more than 5 feet away. Or it would be moved and placed on the kitchen counter, which is even further away than that. Now, my nieces were cleaning the house for us, knocking down the cobwebs and generally keeping the dust down, but they refused to do so after they heard someone crying upstairs. Now, the scary thing was that there were only 2 people in the house at the time, and they were both sat in the kitchen. Then you would start to hear footsteps in parts of the house where nobody was there, and you will hear and feel doors open and close. Changes in the air pressure is readily apparent, only to check and find that nothing had moved. Drawers in a certain bureau containing board games would open regularly. You can hear it opening and then go and look, and the drawers have all been opened and pulled all the way out. Now, at night, there is always a feeling like you are being followed around the downstairs of the house, but never on the 2nd floor. And there are certain rooms in the house that always feel occupied, or you feel that someone is outside staring through at you, even if the window is closed and the curtains have been pulled shut. This still happens. Then there is the Victorian gentleman that I saw. It was late at night, around 1 a.m. My sister and I were cleaning the house from top to bottom in preparation for my parents coming home. I was standing in the kitchen facing my sister, who was in the dining room doorway. We were chatting about what we had done over the previous few days and what we needed to do before they arrived home, when behind her I saw the upper shoulder and lapel of a man's suit walk into the jelly cupboard, a converted door that once led to the basement. Now, I can imagine the look of shock on my face, because my sister immediately asked what was behind her. I told her, and then we checked, but of course, there was nobody there. So, it's a solid wooden door, and it leads into a 6-inch deep pantry. He was all grey and seemed tall, and all I could see was the shoulder of a suit jacket with a lapel, but the cut reminded me very much of a frock coat. Then, the longer we stayed, the more strange things had started to happen. I think the resident ghosts in the house had accepted us as their residents who now lived in the house. Now, when visitors come to stay, the ghosts who were residents in the house did not seem to enjoy the company of strangers, for when visitors stayed in the house, strange things took place, much more strange than the things we've previously talked about. You would find in one of the guest bedrooms that would normally be quiet when nobody is using those bedrooms, and as you would expect, the drawers would be closed, the cupboards would be closed, the curtains would be opened, and With it being stuffy, we would open the windows to let the air come through. Now, when we had visitors who were staying in there, we would often find the curtains had been drawn, or drawers had been opened, or the wardrobe had been opened and certain clothes had been taken out and laid onto the bed, as if someone had gone to the bathroom and was coming back to get changed. Yet, I must say that the people who were staying in there, in the spare room, hadn't laid out any clothes, nor had they even been in the bedroom. Naturally, they thought it was a prank played by one of the younger kids. It's only when one weekend that we had family round and we all had a little bit too much to drink. And as you know, with the drink starts conversations, and these conversations took a deep turn. They started talking about ghosts and the paranormal, and that's only when my dad had said, "Do you believe in ghosts?" Only because this house is really haunted, to the surprise of our family members who had stayed there. They suspected that it was haunted, but was too scared to say for fear that it was confirmed to be true, or that they would think that they're crazy. So after this, they didn't stay for too long. They left the following night because they were too scared to stay in that room. Now, when we done some renovations in that specific room, we'd stripped the walls back to the studs, where we found some old photographs that had been lost under the floorboards. We found little things that would fallen behind one of the fireplaces, and it just so happened that one of the pictures we found was a tall man who wore a white shirt and a grey blazer suit jacket with lapels. He also wore a top hat. Now, is this the same ghost of the man we seen who was stood behind my sister who walked into the basement? Again, there was also some old Victorian clothes that had been stuffed into the wall. Now, after looking into that, I know that in the UK this was a bit of a tradition where people would leave things in the walls to bring good luck, like old shoes. Also, going back into the 1600s, buildings then would have the mummified remains of animals and other items were placed inside the walls of the property to protect them from evil spirits entering. So that was their token. They would feel that would keep them safe. Now, who knows what went on in the house that would make this gentleman haunt the house? Did he die in the house? Was a few other questions we were unable to find, and for some reason the other neighbours in the area, especially the older generation, would always find a reason not to talk about these strange things. But for now, we feel that it's at rest and it's at peace. But is this something that will perhaps restart the haunting? Who knows? If so, I will keep you updated. And that was submitted to me by a reader from, I think it was Canada. They'd sent me their story. So I hope you enjoyed this short story today, and if so, please let me know your thoughts on the story in the comment section. Do you like these type of stories? Do you like creepypastas? Do you like genuine people's personal experiences? so I'm able to research stories to share with you guys. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Take care and see you in the next one. Peace.